are going to learn how to generate different levels of questions to improve your reading comprehension as you read. So you may have noticed in all of your classes where you have something to read, a lot of times the teachers ask you questions. So now we are going to become the teachers and learn how to generate questions that are really going to deepen our understanding of what we read. So I'm going to give you this handout. It's like a little house, and this is going to be the tool that we use to generate our questions. So you'll notice that there are 3 different levels, and we're going to start from the bottom and move to the top. Level 1 are kind of like the basic questions that could easily be answered by just going back into what you read and pointing to something and finding the answer. So you might have to identify something, you might have to define it, you might have to describe. So this is just a very, very basic level. And if you notice the house drawing here, this is kind of like the basement, the downstairs, not a really cool part of the house. But if we move to the second level, we have processing, okay? Where it takes a little bit more thought process. So we're moving up maybe to the second floor, getting some nice views from the house, where we might have to take the information from a couple paragraphs and compare and contrast them. Or we might have to analyze something. We might have to explain something that's going on. So it's taking information and having to process multiple things in order to understand. And then finally, the third level, we get to the penthouse. Who doesn't want to live in the penthouse, right? Exactly. So in the penthouse, this is where your higher order level thinking happens, and this is where we want to live, especially you guys are going off to college next year, right? So this is kind of the area that we want to reach for, although all 3 levels are important. In the third level, applying, you have to basically take the information that you're reading and relate it to other things that you know about, things that you've heard of, and other things that are going on. So you might have to evaluate something based on your own values and beliefs. You might have to predict something that might happen. You might have to imagine or speculate. So you're taking what you read and kind of jumping off the page and looking a little bit further beyond. So again, the penthouse, that's where we really want to be. All right. Are there any questions on this 3-story house? We're good? Okay. No questions? All right. I'm gonna hand out a short article that we're gonna read. We're gonna do the beginning of it together so you can kind of see what I mean, and then you guys are gonna be free to continue reading and work on it on your own. So what I'm gonna do is together we're gonna read the first couple of paragraphs and come up with a question for each of these levels. And then, like I said, you guys will be free to read the rest, and you'll be coming up with 3 questions of your own. Yes?
Are we popcorn reading?
Do you want a popcorn read?
Yeah.
All right, go for it. Let's do, well, why don't you start, and then I'll stop you and show you kind of my process of thinking here.
Colleges grapple with cheating in the digital age. TNS News features by Carla Rivera, Los Angeles Times. Los Angeles. Stanford University's honor code dates to 1921, written by students to help guide them through the minefield of plagiarism, forbidden collaboration, copying, and other chicanery chicaneries that have tempted undergraduates since they first arrived on college campuses.
Okay, let's pause there for 1 second.
Yeah.
So, if I look at the first sentence, something kind of sparked my interest. The fact that the honor code was written in 1921 was interesting to me because that sounds outdated. So I'm going to write myself a question off to the side, which will fall into a level 1 question. I will say, what year was the honor code written? Okay, that's a very easy question that if I just go back to what I read, I can point to that and I can easily find that answer. Do we understand how that falls into level 1?
Yes.
Okay. You can continue reading or you can popcorn.
But there appears to have been exams are proctored and students are expected to police themselves and speak up when they see others committing violations. But there appears to have been a massive breakdown during the recent winter quarter, culminating in an unusually high number of troubling allegations of academic dishonesty reported to officials. According to a letter to faculty from Provost John Etcheman,
let's pause there for a second. So with these two paragraphs here, 2 and 3, the article is alluding to something, and I have to use my own judgment and understanding to analyze or to synthesize what is going on in these two paragraphs. So my question will be, what is this problem that is going on in schools that they've noticed recently? So what are they alluding to? And that's something that if you bring that up in class, it's not necessarily something you can point to one word or sentence and answer. You have to look at both of those paragraphs and kind of pull out that conclusion yourselves. All right, we're going to read one more paragraph together, and then you guys are free to fly on your own.
Popcorn to David.
Among a smattering of concerns from a number of winter courses, one faculty member reported allegations that may involve as many as 20% of the students in one large introductory course, Etchmendy said in the March 24 letter.
Okay, so we can pause there. And so after reading these four paragraphs, I'm going to go ahead and make a third level or applying question because I am taking what I'm reading and I'm going to apply it to some other things that I know. So if this problem is happening in Stanford, my question is, how is education in general going to change? Because if it's happening in Stanford, it's probably happening at other schools too. So my third level question is a prediction. Predict how is education going to change to basically to combat this problem that's going on with cheating recently. Okay. So with just these four paragraphs here, we've been able to pull out a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3 question. What I'm going to have you do now, if there are no questions, is go ahead and read the rest of the article. And I want you to come up with your own level 1, level 2, and level 3 questions. So you're coming up with 3 questions total.
Do they have to be in any particular order?
No. Anything that jumps out at you, it might be out of order. You might have, multiple level 1s coming at you or multiple level 3s. But for the purpose of this, just jot down a 1, a 2, and a 3. And then feel free to use these verbs here to help you construct your questions. Okay? Go for it. Why don't we have you guys discuss, share with each other the different questions that you came up with, and double check, do they really fall into level 1s, level 2s, and level 3s? And if you're not sure, we can go ahead and discuss and kind of have a little debate about why they are or not in those levels. So go ahead and discuss.
I'll start off in easy level 1. How many cases were reviewed in the 2013-2014 year?
That's good.
That was 83 honors.
My level 1 was what is making cheating easier? Answer is technology. Do you have level 1?
You guys go ahead, discuss 2s and 3s, and then we'll share out loudly so the camera can catch some of them. If you're not sure, you can.
Could you answer your question comparing and contrasting a student of an elite school and not elite school? I mean, that's kind of.
Does it talk about any like non-elite schools?
It says, yeah, it says.
It only talks
It
about
does like this. Like,
Clemson.
Achieving students are as likely to cheat as those who struggle academically. Because there's such steep competition for relatively small number of resources.
Yeah, you could do that. Talking about that would fall under level 2 because that's analyzing. You're taking that information and you're breaking it apart. The high
So
achieving and
maybe
low
like
achieving, so that's level 2.
go college want to cheat just like someone who's not part of an elite college.
And quickly discuss a level 3 real quick, and then we'll share out one solid one for each.
Kind of it too, but one of them is like what makes a field like engineering more appealing to cheat rather than something like humanities. What's a way to counter copy and paste actions or other plagiarisms like that, and how can it be implemented effectively?
I don't know if it's like number 3. I was just saying, like, that's more than one.
Well, let's see if we can decide. Do we have one solid one, a solid
Yeah, we
2,
have
and
a
a solid
solid
3 between the 3 of you that we can share
We
out?
have a solid 3.
Yeah.
Just you have a solid too, right?
Sort of. Was that
Mhm.
solid?
Mhm.
So give a solid one and a statistic.
Okay, cool. So let's start at the bottom. A basic type of gathering question that could be found easily in the text. And again, these questions, although they are not higher order level thinking, they're very important because if you don't have the level 1 down, there's no way you could, climb up to the penthouse. You have to have a basis. So what's one number 1 question or level 1 question? Nice and loud.
How many cases were reviewed in the 2013-2014?
Okay, so how many cases were reviewed in the
Yeah.
Okay, and what is the answer to that?
83.
83. And that's really important to take note of, right? Because that is a lot of cheating cases that are going on. So that just helps prove the point that cheating is becoming a problem. Awesome. Let's move on to number 2, level 2, processing questions.
My question was like analyzing what motivates someone of like an elite college to cheat compared to someone who isn't really part of an elite college.
Okay, good. So we're analyzing, right? We're taking the information about people from an elite college and then maybe somebody from not so high of a college, and they both cheat. So we're analyzing the differences. Why would people on both ends of the spectrum still choose to cheat? Good. And that could, generate a lot of discussion in class, a lot more so than a level 1, which could be simply answered with one question. That one has a lot of potential answers depending on people's situations and stuff like that. And then if we jump to number 3, applying, what do we got?
I had like what's a way to counter copy and paste actions and how can it be implemented?
Okay.
And so like I know in school sometimes we use turnitin.com, which is a good way of finding plagiarism and avoiding it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if like a school mandates all teachers to use that, then it could eliminate the problem.
Okay.
So,
Absolutely. So talking about countering the copy and paste actions, and you also were able to make a connection to your own school experience by explaining how you use turnitin.com. And that really shows that you're taking the information that you're reading and you're applying it to something else. Your own life as one example, and you mentioned, other schools could use turnitin.com or other programs like that to stop the amount of cheating and plagiarism that's going on. Good. So again, as I mentioned, with these 3 levels of questioning, although we want to live in the penthouse, everybody likes the, lifestyle up there, super high order thinking, you're really cool, but it is very important to have a basis of the levels 1 and 2 before you can reach the level 3 and really get a full experience of what you're reading.
I start from the bottom and get there.
Yes.
Make some.
Yes. We'll teach you later. Okay, are there any questions on the 3 levels of questioning? No? All right. This is something that, you can use as you move on through college. If you feel like you're getting stuck at one of these levels, maybe these verbs could help you kind of hone in on what it is that you're not understanding so you can finally make it to the penthouse. Yeah. Okay.